Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesday. It's November 4th, 2025. We're very glad you're with us this afternoon. Please note this event is being recorded. The recording will be on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For everybody who's on Zoom, I encourage you to open up the chat window, put in your name, position you're looking for, 2 or 3 target companies that you need help with. Give us your LinkedIn address, your email address, any other information you want for us to be able to contact you. And then if you have companies that you can help other people with, please list those also. So maybe you can help somebody else who's on the call today. LinkedIn is all about connecting with other people, and Zoom's a way to get your information out there to everybody else who's on the call. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I usually have copies with me. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. That group's been around since the late 1990s, but I took it over in 2007 when the prior leader landed a job. And I'll tell you about our upcoming program that we've got scheduled for this Friday at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, also known as the PIC crew. Don't wait until you have an interview scheduled. Schedule your interviews now. For more information, just go to dallaspicrew.com. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who talk about LinkedIn. They each talk about LinkedIn in a little bit different way. Today, our speaker is Locke Alderson. He's a career consultant. He's been recruiting job seekers for many, many years. And today he's going to talk about how to use LinkedIn for job hunting strategies that get results. So Locke, thank you very much for being with us, and it's all yours.
Jeff, thank you for having me again. It's been, a few years. We've known each other since, I guess, for about almost 15 years now. And people ask, I'm sure they asked Jeff and they've asked me, why do you do this? And I could say that people give back to us, and we have done that. Hopefully that's going to do that. Okay. There we go. We got that started. Anyway, that's my bio up there that Jeff had mentioned. And as I said, I've been recruiting for 43 years off and on. And so for 24 years, I've been working with those in job and career transition starting in about 2001. And I've been a job hunter at least 5 times in my career. I'm reflecting back on the different ones that I've had. One of the times when I was laid off in California, when we came to Texas, I sent out 50 resumes and had 19 interviews. 16 of them said no. 2 of them said, we'll get back to you. And one of them made me an offer and brought me to Texas. So I accepted that. A few months later, about within 9 months, I was laid off again and out of work, and relied on a lot of things. Friends that I had that I'd met here in Dallas to help me, and relying on the Lord to trust me and guide me through some of the steps that are involved there. So that's kind of a little bit of my background. You can see I've been with a number of companies, some of the Fortune 500, some other that are not quite so well known. So we want to devote our time today to LinkedIn and how to use it for different ways for job hunting. And my clicker is not working today. So one of the first things I like to talk about is I mentioned the Lord and how he's helped me through these times, because there will be days when you are down, and there are days that you're going to be up and knock it out of the park. But one of the verses that came to mind is, blessed be the Lord, day after day, he bears our burdens. And so that's one of the things that I keep in mind readily to keep going with my walk with the Lord. Okay. The question I asked as we start off today is, why are you using LinkedIn? Okay. That question answers that. If your question is to find a job, one of the things that you want to do is to get found on LinkedIn. And so the first part of our presentation is to aim at getting you to found on LinkedIn. The second part is how do you go about some job hunting and some tips and techniques there. LinkedIn is probably the #1 tool that's used by recruiters worldwide. There are over 1 billion users on LinkedIn worldwide, about 180 million of them in the United States. One comment that one person who'd used LinkedIn in finding a job, he said, "This has been an irreplaceable tool in my job search. The ability to show employers the exact experience and skills that I have on my profile has ultimately helped get me the job." And I know that's been the comment on some of my recommendations from people that I've had when they changed up their profile. It aided significantly in them finding a job. Just not only the job, but getting the interview and then getting through the interview process. So does your LinkedIn, I guess, attract hiring managers or recruiters' attention? That's the question that we want to find out, because first impressions are vitally important. They say about resumes, they also say about LinkedIn profiles. The recruiters and hiring managers look at them for about 6 to 10 seconds and before they move on to the next one. So what you're trying to do is to get them to slow down and to click further on your profile. If it's your resume, to read further on your resume. But it all starts with your well, this is what we're going to cover today: your profile, your headline and open to work sections, your dashboard, which some of you may not be using, and your about sections, which is basically your summary of your career, your work history, which is your employment section, and then your skills and endorsements. Each of these sections has significance in the search criteria that are used by recruiters and hiring managers to find you. And how do you go about optimizing your profile? And then let's take a look at how recruiters search and how you go about searching for job alerts and filters, and then some homework for you. So those are some of the things that we want to do today. But it all starts with your profile. This is an older version of my profile. You can notice the background. I think it's similar to the one because that shot is a similar one to the one that's in my banner in the background behind me today from a Caribbean cruise that we did. But you see the banner shot, you see my headshot, my name, and some other things that are on there. One of the things I'll tell you about your name, if you have a lengthy name, use the name that you want to be called by. My actual legal name is John Locke Alderson Jr. I still play around with the telemarketers who call and ask for John Alderson. And I ask them which one do they want. And they usually say senior. And I say, well, you're about 20 years too late. We buried him about 20 years ago up in Missouri. So that's some of the things that you can play around with. But then underneath that, you have your headline. You have about 220 characters, and we're going to talk about that a little bit because some of you are shortchanging yourself by not using all of that space. And there's that open to work section. Notice one of the things below on mine, in this view, I've only opened it up to recruiters. And that's one of the things about open to work. You can limit who sees your profile to recruiters. And those are the recruiters that subscribe to the LinkedIn with either Recruiter or Recruiter Lite, which is the package, the software license is sold by LinkedIn and their parent, Microsoft. So that's kind of things that we want to talk about, but it all starts with your profile. And the question that comes up, how long has it since you've updated your profile? Does it look like an old rusty car because of neglect? Again, one of the things that you need to do on a regular basis, and I suggest at least once a week, is to do something with your profile, whether it's to add a period or take out a period. And we'll show you some other easy tricks that you can do as well. Maybe it's to reorder your skills. And we want to talk about your skills and how they're organized, because that's what recruiters see. They only see a couple of them at the first glance. You have to get them to click and see more. Okay. Now to take a look at the 6 to 10 seconds on my profile, what do you see? One of the things you may have noticed, I've included the open to work and opened it up to all LinkedIn members here. And that's that banner from about 5 o'clock to around to 9 o'clock. Okay. You see my name and hopefully that's a decent headshot of me. If you compare the two views there on your screen about me. But those are some of the things that you look at. But LinkedIn is a powerful platform for job searching, networking, and career management. Creating a strong LinkedIn profile is going to boost your career and help you land your dream job. Okay. Completing your profiles is a critical thing in terms of your LinkedIn ranking when searches are conducted. Again, see if I can move that out, moving it. Come on, there we go. Okay. Using a professional headshot and a banner background shot, banner or background shot that you can use. Again, the headshot doesn't have to be one by a professional photographer. Although my wife is kind enough to do the one that's there. It could be a selfie on your cell phone if you want, but make sure that there's no glare from your glasses and that you've got a good clean background behind you. The headline is the job title that you're applying for, or job titles. If you don't use one, LinkedIn is so kind that they will default to the last job title in your employment section. Use the open to work section unless you're in job stealth mode, again, under your headline to list additional job titles. The about section really is a summary section of your career. A lot of people give it a paragraph or two, where actually you have about 2,000 characters to play with there. And the more that you can say there, the more it tells about you and who you are. Your contact information. If we are not first degree connections, be sure to include your contact information, your email and your phone number in the first line of your about section. Because if it's buried down in your about section, again, you have to have somebody click through to see more than the first 3 lines. Your experience section should include your job title. If you have an unusual job title like member of technical staff 3, and I work for a company which use those kind of job titles, use the generally recognized title that you look for when you look at a job in parentheses. Have a description of your duties and the results that you achieved with those duties, because adding the results adds credibility to your experience. And use the keywords from your profession. Show that you know who you are, let others know who you are in your profession. Your skills from your profession and endorsements. A lot of people in their education section simply to talk about their degree. They fail to show what they've done in terms of professional development and the awards or certifications they've achieved since then. And include those recommendations. You should probably have at least a couple of recommendations for your last couple of jobs from coworkers and former bosses, because that's what's in terms of having a complete profile. Another verse of scripture that I like is, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. I know when I've been discouraged, to know that there's somebody bigger than I am looking over my shoulder and helping has been an immeasurable help. But it's also true that as we go about the process of looking for a job, it's a relationship, like a lot of relationships in our lives. Again, on LinkedIn, that relationship is one of those relationships. Showing up and getting found on LinkedIn is your profile. So that's what you want to do, is to get found. And then opening up, what have you done and how well you've done it? That's the additional verbiage that you can add to your profile to strengthen who you are and get people to ask questions about you. Moving on, let's talk about your headline. If your headline is the only thing that people see about you, what does it really say? Okay. Does it give an idea who you are or what you're looking for? And your headline may be different from how you introduce yourself in other situations. But again, when you're in recruiting, like I am, I'm a recruiter or a job consultant. Those are the 2 things that people tend to remember after we've introduced ourselves in professional settings. Does your headline tell who you are? Okay. Does it identify what you do? Does it tell what you've accomplished? How well you did your duties, how well you performed those duties? And is your headline a grabber? Does it get people's attention and cause them to remember you? Let's take a look at some sample resumes. These are all scrunched together to get onto the one page, one slide, if you will. Unemployed and retired and seeking a new opportunity are truthful statements, and I've seen it on a number of profiles, but they don't do you justice because they aren't the most positive statement about you. Formerly a VP of Finance, question in some people's minds, well, how long have you been out of work as a VP of Finance? Experienced digital design engineer seeking a new opportunity implies that he's still employed, but he's seeking a new opportunity, gives the reader more idea of what they're looking for. The next one about somebody in corporate communications or public relations, social media strategists and content managers seeking a new opportunity, mentioning print and digital media that they've worked with, public relations, marketing, and corporate communications. The rest of them on the page are kind of succinct, but again, a recruiter looking at some of those might be looking at somebody who has supply chain procurement and purchasing background. And likewise, accountants, again, adding general ledger or AR, accounts receivable, accounts payable, financial reporting and costs are some of the things that recruiters actually look for. Executive assistant. If I do a search in the Dallas area, there are approximately 30,000 people with executive assistant on their profile. Adding things like budgeting and event planning tend to single you out in that herd of people. IT project manager, idle, scrum master, and agile are all buzzwords for recruiters in IT. General manager, manufacturing, aerospace. That's a pretty narrow picture of somebody who somebody is. Well, what LinkedIn has done is allow you to do more than that, because you do have in your headline about 220 characters. You can add things like adjectives that you can do that. Again, if you want the copy of the slides, this is one of those slides that's in the deck. Just ask me for it. Hit lockealderson@gmail.com and I'll be happy to send it to you. You can start with adjectives and other descriptive titles that are there that bring about more meaning for what you've done. Dynamic program manager. Okay. This is taking a look at my profile. And again, that URL down at the bottom, share through, you can evaluate your profile. When I first did this, the initial reaction was that the overall rating was a 65.
Locke, your slides didn't move.
I'm sorry?
Your slides are stuck on sample headlines.
Okay. What do I do to get that loose, Jeff?
I think you just need to advance the slide however you advance. Try the right arrow on the 4 arrows, up, down, right, left arrow. Try clicking on the right arrow.
Okay, let's try this one. This is a picture of my headline, if you will. Take a look
Yeah,
at it.
we don't see it.
Okay. Sorry, Jeff, I don't know what to do about that.
Locke, it looks like you might have stopped sharing the screen.
Okay.
Or you might just have to reshare it. Stop
I'm
sharing.
sorry?
You might just have to stop sharing and reshare.
There it is. We're back at your profile slide again.
Are we back up?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try and get ahead of it. Okay, this is some other slide. This is some other descriptive headlines, if you will, that you can have when you can add those things like increasing productivity, specializing in expansion of international business. Those additional describers in there add credibility to what you do and narrow the spectrum of what people are looking for. The next one is some other focused headlines, using digital indices and systems analysts to reduce hospital administration paperwork by 54%. Anybody who's been to a hospital and had to go through the admitting process, if you can speed that up and eliminate some of the paperwork, it's amazing. And again, the pedigree of the next one, Global Operations Manager, Microsoft Social Media Operations, formerly with Amazon. Those are some pedigree high-tech companies that somebody's worked with. Again, those are things to consider. Another verse from scripture that I like is peace. I leave you with my peace. Give it to you, not as the world gives it to you. Let your hearts not be troubled, neither let them be afraid. From John's Gospel in the New Testament. Again, why use the open to work? As we see there, this is open to all LinkedIn members. Again, and what it does is to allow you to add additional things to your profile. The types of jobs that you're looking for, you can add up to at least 5 different jobs. You notice here, when I start to use some of the artificial intelligence, put in career, I could choose career specialist, coach, counselor, any of those that are there. You can add up to 5. You can tell where you want to work, that you want to work on the site or hybrid or remote. On my profile now, I think it's limited to hybrid and remote. And likewise, if you're open to relocation, this is one of the places where you can put it. Plano, Texas. So what's the status of your job search right now? Make it easy for recruiters. If you're looking right now, I'm applying actively, it tells the recruiter that you're a hot one in terms of having to go through the recruiting process. And if you match the other criteria of their job search, that'll make it easier to fill the job for the recruiter. Okay. Another thing to do is to check out your analytics on your homepage. Your analytics are give you a couple of things: the number of the post impressions you've had, number of profile views that you've had, number of followers that you have, a number of search appearances. But those can allow you to find out who's looking at your profile, what kind of companies may add to your list of target companies. Are you using the feature selection? Here are 3 of the presentations that I've done over the last what, 6 months, I guess. You can add your in your resume, or if you have a portfolio, you're somebody in advertising, or my son is in motion graphics, he has a digital reel that he puts on there that people can look at his profile. But you can add things like that. You can add publications in there that you have. Like Jeff might add his book in this section as opposed to being in his headline, or excuse me, in his banner shot. Let's move on to the summary section, which is really your about section. Showcase your experience. Does it? Notice in this particular one, the email address is right there at the top. I said it's quite critical because when you look at somebody's profile, usually the only 2 or 3 lines are going to show up. So you want to be able to make it easy for me to contact you if we're not directly connected. This is a little bit longer paragraph than I normally recommend, and I know Terry Sullivan is pretty serious about having people limit the paragraph to 3 or 4 lines and then have a break and add another one. But this one is extremely well written. It also has a list of specialties at the bottom. And notice he spells out financial planning and analysis. If you use an acronym like FP&A, which a lot of accounting and financial planning people, recruiters would know what that means, spell out what the acronym means, because for acronyms like AMA, that could be American Medical Association, American Management Association, American Medical Association, or American Motorcycle Association. So spell it out, make it easier for the person to know where they got that experience. Okay. The other thing that LinkedIn has done a little bit different from resumes allows you to use the first person. Notice the first example there. I am grateful partner with many world-class award-winning companies. And this is a person who's been with a Disney organization for a number of years. They have key companies: executive coaching, training, talent development, career transition. Another example below that, I'm a strategic, creative, hands-on marketer with a passion for opportunity. Again, if that were a standalone statement in your resume, a lot of recruiters would say that's fluff because there's nothing in there to support it, no concrete behind it. But because your profile summary or your about section has up to 2,000 characters, you have plenty of room to add examples to show how you are a strategic, creative, hands-on marketer. Let's move on to the experience section right now. Again, the experience section, and this is from my profile. Notice the Oracle is there. I was an employee of Oracle, so that icon, because it's on my profile, that symbol shows up on my profile when I use it. Notice I've limited the description there to 3.5 lines about the duties that I had at Oracle, and with them for about a little over 4 years. Prior to that, I was with Siebel and Oracle purchased Siebel. But I also included something else that's a little bit unusual. I included a farewell statement or email on my former director of recruiting for North America. Okay, something that you can add. Thank you for your service and contributions. It's kind of like a testimonial, if you will, not quite a letter of reference. But the other thing that you can do with your experience section is you can add some of your accomplishments. These were 2 that I had from Oracle, twice selected as a recruiter of the quarter among 50 recruiters in Oracle. That means I had the top number of hires and that they had in those 2 quarters. I was selected from among those 50 to attend their consulting organization, an organization of about 5,000 domestic in the United States, to their annual club meeting in Nassau in the Bahamas. But those are some of the things that you can do to beef up your profile. The other things that you can do on your profile, and I encourage this strongly, is one is to add a position that you're out of work and looking for another job. Tell it what it is that you're looking for and where you're looking for. You can also add experience and volunteer experience. On my profile, because I wrote it before they had this section added, they had my profile. My volunteer experiences included in my actual experience. You can also add a section for projects. And I know when I was with Siebel and with Oracle, I used to receive a lot of resumes that had detailed descriptions of the projects that somebody worked on, usually a page for each project. So let's take a look at a possible out of work or job hunting position, a current position. And the reason to add that, LinkedIn gives you additional credit if you have a current position listed. If you don't have, if you list an ending date for your current job, again, you're out of work as far as LinkedIn is concerned. By adding a current position is different. This one was for a software applications developer looking for full-time employment and a type of industry. They said financial services industry. And again, it's putting in the location there where you're looking. Again, it started the ad in Dallas, and you notice the intelligence below there with a drop-down menu. You have to be careful though, because there is also a Dallas, Georgia, and a Dallas, Oregon. This is for a project. I included one when I was at the Staffing Management Association here in Dallas, was the program manager for a number of years. So I just added that as an example of what you can do with that, selecting speakers for the bi-monthly meetings that they had. Next area that's very vitally important is your skills and endorsements. Again, LinkedIn now displays 2 or 3 of your skills, which you want to see, and you can add, if you notice the different ones that you add there, as you start to type in, you can just click on one of those. If it's not a position that is recognized in their vocabulary, again, LinkedIn won't let you add it. I added one just to play around with that today as a human resources business professional, just to see if it was there. And so I added an additional position to mine today. But doing that, one of the things that you will do, if you don't select the order of your skills, LinkedIn will select them for you, the one that they think is best for you. And that's probably not the one that most strongly represent who you are. So how do you go about organizing those? Well, first, before I get that, how do you find out about your skills? This is from somebody else's presentation, but you notice that GitHub Explore allows you to find out what your skills are. And you can click through, skip this section by clicking on the next page looks like this. They have about 150 different positions listed here, and all of the program managers, the different skill sets are listed there. And you can explore that with the URL that's on the page there. But are your skills organized for maximum impact? Again, by clicking on those 3 dots that you see up there, what allows you to do, and allows you to reorder the skills. And by holding your cursor over these, you can drag and drop these up and down. I played again with that this afternoon to put that human resources business professional in there, just below the HR human resources tab that's on there. But those are the ones, if I'm doing executive search, consulting, and talent acquisition, those kind of describe my background, who I am. But again, a lot of the ones that are on there, like professional recruiting or professional services was the industry subgroup that I worked in. I was hiring consultants for professional services, but I got high ratings because I was doing it in that area. Okay, the next area they want to look at is you might want to look at other people's profile. And you ask, well, why would I want to do that? Well, do a search on yourself. If you do a search for recruiter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, it used to be because of my activity level on LinkedIn, I would show up in the first 2 screens. That's the first 20 people there. If you don't show up in the first 10 screens, that's 100 people. You're probably not going to be found when somebody else looks for somebody with your background. I noticed this in the Dallas area at that time when I ran this search. There were about 26,500 people who had recruiter in their profile. So again, that's some of the competition. Not everybody's competing with you, but if you don't show up, go into some of their profiles and find out what words they're using. If those words aren't in your profile and they apply to you, plug them into your profile. See if it doesn't improve your rating. This is somebody who was open to work. She was a senior recruiter, and she came up to the top. Again, notice she has a recruiter and open to work. In the about section, she has talent acquisition, which is another name for recruiting. It's down there. But that's how you can find out a little bit more about who you are and about other people and how you stack up against some of those other people. Well, let's move on a little bit and take a look at this actual job hunting for you on LinkedIn in your profile. We'll talk about searches on LinkedIn, how are they organized, how does LinkedIn actually run a search, and how do recruiters search, and there's a little bit of difference. Recruiter search results, take a look at what some of the recruiters' results have been, and then taking a look at searching for jobs for you. What do recruiters really search for? Well, they're looking for a combination of activities on your profile, okay? Your ranking in searches is based on the sum of these activities, the values. Higher scores appear at the top of the list of results based on the qualifications being sought. So what are recruiters really looking for? Well, the first thing that they're looking for is a match of your job titles. And the job titles appear in at least 4 different sections of your LinkedIn profile. In the headline, open to work, the about, and employment sections. The employment section includes present titles and past titles as well. Next thing that they probably look for is keywords and skills from your profession. Again, do you know what you're talking about your profession? Do you come across as a professional by using the keywords and skills in your profession and talking about them? What are industries that you've worked in? Some industries are very narrow in their search for people. Healthcare is one of those, which typically looks for people with a healthcare background. And likewise, some other industries are like the same way like that. Some companies are pretty specific in terms of your pedigree. Have you worked in that kind of company, high tech perhaps? Your education and geographic location, and we'll take a look at some search results and see how that applies. The current and prior companies, and you link the service. It used to be when recruiters looked at resume, anybody who had been there for only a couple of months or a couple of years was considered a job hopper. But in light of today's economy, that's not quite as critical as it used to be. And lastly, then recruiters slow down and go back and look at the top 5, 10, 15, 20 profiles that might come up in their experience. Well, let's take a look at an actual search. This is a criteria that's used for LinkedIn, the recruiter search. Recruiter is one of those licenses that recruiters can purchase from LinkedIn, and it gives you access to all billion people in the world. So they can search through those in approximately 30 minutes. And this particular is an old slide. There are about 710 million people on LinkedIn. But this is the data input sheet that they are. By just checking some of these, you can notice schools, companies, skills and assessments, locations, job titles are some of the things that a recruiter would look for. So let's take a look at what happens when actually somebody does a search and narrows those down, because somebody putting in maybe 30 of these check fields, they can narrow that 700 million down to maybe 700 within 30 seconds. This is actual search that was done for a product manager, and they were looking for a senior product manager looking in the greater Seattle area. It would take somebody out of the San Francisco Bay Area as well. And notice the other things that they're looking for. Competitive analysis. They're looking for some high-tech companies that somebody may have worked with. These are some companies in the Seattle area. And they may look at schools like University of Washington there in Seattle. This one drew about 6,900 responses. And note, 2,500 people actually had company connections, were actually following the particular company that this search was for. And 462 have engaged with that company in more than one, not just a follower, things that you can do to follow companies. The next search that somebody did was for a project manager in Chicago. Again, they would consider somebody from New York or from San Francisco. And again, they wanted business strategy and analytics, and the other criteria that they used and checked boxes. Notice they were looking for high-tech companies, Google, Facebook, Everride, LinkedIn, and I can't remember the other one. But they're also interested in schools. Well, they don't have the University of Illinois at Chicago Circle on there, I don't know. Again, the Northwestern is up in Evanston, just north of Chicago. But in this one, there were about 43,000 people in that pool of candidates, but only 83 of them, and this was when the job market was a lot tighter, were actually looking for new jobs. And some have company 229 were following the company. And again, somebody had now built up more information, asked for information about a company. But how do you go about searching for jobs now? There are two ways. You can use the search box, basically, when you open up your profile, or you can go over to the Jobs tab. Okay, let's take a look at the Jobs tab next. Again, by entering a job title, a company name, you can do that, and a location. If you fail to enter a location on your first search, it's going to default to the United States. Okay, so let's take a look at that as well. This is one for searching for jobs. Person entered in sales representative because they didn't introduce where it defaults to the United States, and there were about 100, almost 200,000 people in this search, far bigger than any sane recruiter would want to look at as a starting point. Again, moving on to the next one. Again, this one was for a senior accountant, limited to 25 miles from Plano, Texas. The default setting at 25 miles is what's used by most job boards and by LinkedIn, because you as applicants have taught companies, I don't want to drive more than 20 to 25 miles to work. And so when the job boards came along, they adopted that as the criteria for the default setting. Again, this particular search came up with 144 results in the area. The first one there is here, and the actual description is over here on the right half of the page. Again, that's just one way to go about doing it. I did another search for a senior quality assurance individual. Again, this was for a group of quality assurance managers for the ASQ quarterly meeting here in Dallas. just to show them what you could do. But doing that came up with almost 2,000 results. By refining and adding the term manager to that, it dropped 90% of those candidates or those jobs off the market. Okay. Well, that's what you can do. That's another way that you can refine your searches. So if your search is too broad, add some additional words to describe it. Again, this particular one was, or that executive assistant I mentioned in Dallas, was narrowed down to 960 because I added some other qualifiers to it. But I put Dallas-Fort Worth area as a way to limit that criteria as well. But notice Dallas, Georgia is on this particular search. This one was for a job, but one of the things you can do for a recruiter or talent assistant in Dallas-Fort Worth area, one of the groups, if you click over on this jobs tab over here, there's some drop-down menu. One of those is groups. And by looking at groups, opens up below that, each of those groups you can post, people in those groups can post jobs for members of the groups. Those are kind of like affinity organizations. Again, that you have people in the same profession, and people will post jobs because their target market are people that have that kind of experience. But those jobs do not, I repeat, do not appear on LinkedIn proper. So they won't appear when you do a job search on LinkedIn. So you have to look at the groups and take a look at some of the groups in your profession. You never know when they have jobs as well. It's worth taking a look at. The other thing that you can do is to use some of the filters that LinkedIn. This is an old screenshot, but to show all of the filters that they have. The first thing that I recommend for everybody is to limit your search to the past week, because a lot of jobs get filled very quickly. And I don't know whether you've been found the situation where you found a job and you come back later in the day and the job is either taken down or not accepting any more applications. But you can notice when I did recruiter in Dallas County, if I did that, there were 2,000 originally in the search, but by limiting to the last week, eliminated about 2/3 of those. Something that LinkedIn picked up from Indeed.com was a salary estimate. And because salary requirements are now required in some states when they do job posting, like California, New York, and Massachusetts, again, you can do that, but you can estimate the number of jobs and see what kind of salary. You can limit your search pool of jobs to that way. You can use the easy apply filter. That's up there as well. If you do that, be sure that it allows you to upload a current resume that's tailored to the job that you're looking at. Because if you don't, LinkedIn will simply take your profile as it is, which is more or less cast in concrete and not specific to a given job, and use that as your application. Notice that most jobs on the job boards are full-time positions as well. But if you're looking for contract opportunities or part-term or internships, and I've worked at our volunteer opportunities, those are all there as well. Locationally, companies that are applying for jobs, as well as industries that have jobs. But those are just some of the filters that you can use. Now, all of those will show up now on a job posting, but some of them will. Okay. Here's one, again, 25 miles recruiter from Plano, Texas. One thing that you can do with this one is to turn on the job alert button. Just click this job radio right there. And the next thing you do gives you the opportunity to get those notices daily or weekly. The notices go out typically between 7 and 8 in the morning. And I typically, because I've done searches for people in job consulting or career consulting with them, I still get some references every morning for some of those. I can look at them pretty quickly and you can eliminate them. Again, this is what happens and what it looks like when you get that particular situation. Okay.
On that screen right there, do you know where you can go back and review the 10 that you have? You know, you're limited to 10 searches.
Okay.
So you want to change it.
It's under managed jobs, wherever managed jobs is on the screen. And I can't, without
Okay.
spending some time, but you can look and search for managed jobs. Okay?
Great, thank you.
That's a way that you can close down, because I still have some. I took vacation up in Ashland, Oregon last summer, and my wife has a friend up there. And while she spent time with her friend, I spent time with her husband, helping him to look for a job in Ashland, Oregon. Well, there's not as many jobs in a town of 10,000 as there are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So it was kind of challenging, but I still get some of those job postings. Okay. Let's wrap up this part, and I'm going to hopefully take a look at some of your profiles and maybe take a look at a job for each of you. Do complete your sections on your profile, okay? Increases your ranking in searches. And use a name that you normally use. If you normally go by a nickname, use that or put it in parentheses or a quotation mark so the recruiter will call you that or hiring manager. Do refresh your profile at least once a week. Maybe it's just to go in and change the order of your skill settings, as I mentioned. headline should list your job or job titles of the positions you're looking for. If you don't use one, as I mentioned, LinkedIn will default to the last job title in your employment section. Complete the open to work section unless you're in a stealth job mode. Then you can limit it to the recruiters who have subscribed to Recruiter or Recruiter Lite from LinkedIn. Okay. List your phone number on the top line of your About section. Make it easy for me to contact you. Maybe at the bottom of yours, and we'll see how it's done on some of you today. But make it easy to put it there at the top. I don't have to click more. Use the job titles and measurable results from your duties. Okay. And include some of those accomplishments, set them out as a bulleted item below that. And do look for the keywords and skills from your profession and choose the 3 that are most relevant to you in your job search. Okay, and support you. And do a search about yourself. See how you stack up. Jeff, I'm going to turn it back to you. Let me see if I can.
Well, we have got 2 questions here. First question, is it necessary to have premium? I currently have it, but I'm canceling my subscription as I do not use all the features.
Okay, the major thing that I've used for premium subscription was it gives you an additional emails that you can use. I have never found it beneficial, but I have a pretty substantial network. I have about 6,500 in my network now. Okay, so that's one of the things I would say about that. Try it for a while and use it. If it works for you, go ahead. But remember, cancel before day 25, because otherwise they will be happy to bill your credit card account.
All right, and the other question Mark asked, is it better to use Easy Apply or go directly to the company's website?
As I mentioned about Easy Apply, if it allows you to upload a current resume that's tailored to the job posting, do that. If it does not, it's going to take your profile and use that as your resume or your application. So I don't recommend it unless it allows you to upload a current one. Jeff, I'm online. I think we could do searches for people.
Okay, if you'd like us to look at your profile, stick your name in the chat window and we will take a look at your profile. Okay, the first one up is Condal, Kondal, Kondal.
Oh, for some reason. Kondal.
Kondal. Last name Reddy, Reddy.
Okay. We have his profile up. He sent me an invitation, so I'm going to go ahead and accept, okay? Let's take a look at his profile and see what he has. He's open to work. The first thing I want to do, because I've just accepted his invitation. His About section. Again, put your telephone number and your contact information there. Your About section looks pretty good. It's well written, but again, it doesn't say how to get in touch with you. So if we're not first degree connections, I'm only going to see the first 3 lines of your About section. So make it easy for the hiring manager recruiter to get hold of you. Okay. Okay, he has a current position for seeking a job, clinical research or clinical research coordinator position. And he doesn't limit it to where it is, but notice how it is, see more, okay? So this, I gather you were at Johns Hopkins until last June, or June of this year?
Yes, till end of
Okay.
May.
Well, that's a way to show that you're currently working, and that counts when you're looking at jobs and when you're being evaluated for jobs there. The other thing I want to take a look at is his skills. Notice that your two skills that are showing up, LinkedIn has chosen these for you. If electronic data capture is the job title that you want, and oncology I can probably see, but again, you have 41 skills. There may be some that are more appropriate for what you want to do. Electronic data capture, oncology, Microsoft Office, I wouldn't choose that. Medicine, maybe. Clinical trial management systems, probably. Clinical data management, clinical research. But those are some job titles that I would tend to move up in your list. And you do that by clicking that plus sign that's there, or clicking the pencil and then clicking on those three dots, and that will allow you to reorder your skill set. Okay? Jeff, let's try somebody else.
Okay, Angela, Angela. Last name Robinson, Robinson.
Which one, Angela?
It's the first one.
Okay. And we're second degree connections. She is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But again, notice the contact information. And this is what I want to show you people. If I'm trying, she has her phone number opened up, which is great. She makes it easy for that. She's also, you might also put your email address in there as well. Open that up. Okay. But that's a very important thing as well. Okay. She's got the open to work section open, okay, to recruiters and to worldwide LinkedIn. Again, she's listed workforce management. Again, I would put the same workforce management. What are some other titles that you've used when you look for a job, Angela? Again, word
Really?
saturation is one thing that you can use on that. But again, I would try and find some other job titles that you look for,
Okay. Thank you.
because you're shortchanging yourself. Up here on your headline, you've only used about 120 characters. Maybe it's, I'm guessing
Maybe
that's about 150 characters. Okay.
I maxed it out.
Okay, it is maxed out. Okay. Again, I would take a look at some workforce management leader. Okay, as an accomplished leader or resourceful. Some other words to add to describe some of them. Intercom. What is Intercom? Is that the company that was in data process? I mean, in telecommunications switches.
It's a contact center
Okay.
interaction.
Okay. Some of those terms I'm not familiar with, and even though I was a recruiter, I haven't been doing active recruiting for a few years. Tableau, I recognize as a software package. Power Automate, again, some of those are things but this is where you want to put your job titles, because recruiters really do search for titles first. That's one of the things that they look for. So you limited yourself to workforce management. There may be some other titles that show up when you look for jobs on LinkedIn or Indeed.com. What are some of the other titles? And use some of those other titles in your headline or in your open to work section. Okay. Okay. She has her phone number there. That's great. Makes it easy for her to contact you. How long is your section? I'm on. Computer's getting old.
Mine too. I'm gonna have to upgrade because I can't run Windows 11.
You have a current position listed. That's great. As you didn't mention with pharmaceuticals in your background,
Okay.
Alcon is worth mentioning as an industry that you've worked in. Okay. What I was scrolling down to try and find is your skills. Notice you've used leadership. unfortunately, I would not choose leadership as one of the skills to describe you. What
Okay.
are some of the other skills that you have? Workforce management, maybe, okay. But what are some of the others that you've used that are better descriptive terms for you? Workforce analytics, workforce planning. See if I can do it another way. If technical integration is an important one, that's one that you could also list because that's a hot buzzword that people are still looking for. Cross-functional collaboration and cross-team collaboration, probably not. Data analytics, if you have experience in that, that's a very marketable skill. Okay. Those are just some quick highlights for you, Angela.
Thank you.
Okay. Jeff, let's try somebody else and we'll see if I can get my
Okay,
computer to behave.
next name up is Deborah. Deborah. Last name Schrade.
Okay, we're first degree connection, so she's used a little bit different background. She had banner shot behind her, which is great. It has a little bit of interest in it that gets people's attention. Okay, you've used your name, you've done your nicknames or other names that people might call you Deborah or Debbie. Again, that's good. Let's see if I can get my screen is behaving again. The about section, again, I would again, even though well, let's go back and look at see how you've done your contacts. Even though we're first degree contacts, our phone number and email address is there, so that's great. But if we're not first degree connections, that's not going to be available to me. This is kind of interesting as I don't know what they call that. It's a word, like a word map of skills from your experience, which is great and it adds interest. Okay, I think it's interest. The word cloud was what I was trying to think of. Okay. Okay, one of the things I'm going to suggest for you, Deb, is that you add a current position. Okay, if you are no longer with Land Sea Homes, add what it is. It's an interior, seeking an interior design position, design center manager. What is it that you're looking for? Okay, and what type of industry? It may be residential homes, it may be mobile homes, whatever it is. What kind of industry? Add that to show what you've been doing since April of this year. Okay, because the question that comes up, what have you been doing? Watching Judge Judy at home, eating bonbons. I'm being a little facetious there, but again, recruiters want to know what you've been doing.
Locke, should I put in there consulting, or do you just put
What's the
seeking
title? What's the
opportunities?
title of the job that you're looking at? That's what I put it. The
Okay,
job.
title, okay,
Okay. If you
Thank
want,
you.
send for the slide deck, and then there's that example in the slide deck of how to do that. You
okay,
play around with it. That's a way to change your resume. Remember, I said to refresh your resume at least once a week by adding a new title in there. That refreshes your resume by adding something new. One of the other things I was going to look at is your skills, licenses you've taken, some licensing things, skills, strategic planning and execution, design center management. If those are the two, you have 100 skills that you've chosen. Are those the best two that describe or support what you're looking for? If they're not, go into your skill section, click on the pencil, and click on the 3 dots and reorganize them, reorder them. Okay. Data center management, I can understand. Strategic planning and execution, maybe. Okay. If you're looking for a strategic planning job. Okay.
okay.
Anything else? Any questions, Deb?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank
Jeff,
you.
Jeff, we got time for at least 1 or 2 more.
Well, those are the only 3 names. I think we'll end a couple minutes early here today.
Okay,
So,
that's up to
uh,
you. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties, Jeff. I don't know what it is.
no problem. So if you want Locke's deck, here's his email address. Just send him an email and let him know you'd like to get a copy of today's presentation. You can do that from him. All right, next week our speaker is going to be Kurt Vondermatter. He's going to talk about LinkedIn from Recruiter's Eye. Kurt is a retained search executive, so he gets paid by a company to as the only person that goes and searches for you. So he'll tell you what you're looking for and some just hints to help you in your job search. Tomorrow, the practice interview team is meeting in person. They meet in person on the first, second, third, and fifth Wednesdays of the month at Christ United Methodist Church in Plano, the corner of Parker and Coit and Parker. So they will be in person only. For those people who live outside the DFW area and you can't go and you still want some interview experience tomorrow, join session 12 of 13. We've got a 13-part series of videos up on the careerusa.org, Career USA YouTube channel. Tomorrow's suggested program is Difficult Interviewers, Questions, and Cultivating Confidence. So if you don't have the link for that, just go to the careerusa.org website. On the left-hand side under the Career USA training, look for the current date or the date tomorrow, and where it says Interview Wednesdays online, click on that and it will open up. You can get the link and watch the video at your convenience. This Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, it meets at 9:30 in the morning. We're going to do open forum. We'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. You've got questions about your job search, ask us. And everybody who's online and everybody who's in the room can offer feedback to whatever you're doing. So you're welcome to join us in person or on Zoom. If you'd like to join the Career DFW or CareerUSA.org LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to join one or both. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group. I just started that LinkedIn group when I started the website. We've got over 16,000 members. It's a great way to expand your connections, and you never know how you can help someone. This session has been recorded. It will be on the careerusa.org, Career USA YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the channel. That way, every time we post a new video, you'll find out about it. On the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist. Every video I post goes into one of 7 different playlists. Don't click on the video, but the very bottom where it says view full playlist by the red arrow. If you do that, up will come a list in chronological order of the dates, the speaker, and what their topic was, and you can watch any one of those videos at your convenience. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. Just scan this QR code and send a blank email, or just send a blank email to Career USA, +subscribe @groups.io, and you'll never be spammed. I control the email list, and but you'll find out about links to our upcoming programs. Please note, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Locke is a volunteer. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 17 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So have a great Tuesday. Hopefully we'll see you at the PIC crew tomorrow or Friday at the North Dallas group. Everybody else have a great week. Locke, thank you once again.
Jeff, thanks for having me again. I'll put in a plug for Jeff's book again. It's probably one of the easiest to read, quickest reads that I have, but probably one of the more comprehensive books that's available on your job search. So
Thank
I
you
have
very
given
much.
copies to several of my friends, including my
Thank you.
son.
Thank you.